Saw some people jump on. Good morning. The camera's a little offset to get around the windshield mount, so that's why things are a little crooked this morning. I'm gonna have to try to find a way to readjust that mount before next round. But good morning. Feel free to say hi in the chat. We're driving into work. It's the eastern side of Missouri for those watching, wondering. It's still pretty dark, so you really can't see too much. But as things lighten up, you'll be able to see fall colors starting and the sunrise, hopefully. Yeah, I try to do this in the mornings and in the afternoons, so if you want to subscribe, follow, you'll get a notification whenever I go live, or you should, anyways. And once again, this is the eastern side of Missouri. Saw a couple more people get on. Good morning. Feel free to say hi in the chat. And it's really foggy. Everything kind of looks blurry. It's really foggy out this morning. Yeah, it looks blurry because it's foggy outside. Once it starts lightening up and the sun really comes up, you'll be able to see a lot more. And the camera is offset like that to get around my windshield mount. So I'm going to try to figure out a way to get my windshield mount better to where I can actually have my camera straight up. Because if I have it straight up, then basically all you're looking at is the windshield mount, which you obviously don't want to look at that. So, yeah, it's really foggy out this morning. We're headed into work. Depending on which route I end up going, which depends on traffic. I've got like 3 or 4, sometimes 5 different routes depending on what's going on with traffic. But it can be between like 48 and a half miles from work or to work. It can be all the way up to like 53 and a half, depending on if I have to take the side roads or not. I might also have to do a pit stop at a store to grab a couple things for work. So whenever that happens, I'll just leave the stream going. I'll run in real quick and come right back. I say right back, it might be a couple minutes, depending on if there's a line in there or not. But yeah, so we are currently on Gravois or Highway 30. And depending on where you live, if you live on the west side of this road, highway, whatever you want to call it, you call it Gravois. If you live on the eastern side or the city side, most people call that Highway 30. And then there's like a middle ground where, depending on who you're talking to, they might call it Gravois or Highway 30. But essentially, it is called Gravois, but there's the highway sign with a 30 in the center. So some people call it highway, some people call it Gravois. And then they straighten out like we're on a straight Gravois now. There's a whole bunch of old Gravois that cut across this that used to be Gravois that was really windy until they straightened everything out whenever things started developing out here. So getting direction from people might be confusing because a lot of people don't give addresses out here. They give, for instances, they say, turn it to QT and then go 3 stops down and turn left at the red barn, instead of just giving an address and putting it in your phone. That's just how people talk out here. Been that way my whole life. But I just saw a bunch more people jump on. Good morning, everyone. So the phone is cockeyed a little bit like that. It's not because I don't have it straight on purpose. I have it cockeyed to get around the dashboard now. I'm going to try to figure out a way to get around that. And let me know in the chat, do you watch this in portrait or landscape mode? Because I started it in landscape mode because I had a couple people yesterday say that they wanted it in landscape mode. And the people that kept jumping on were on for like 5 seconds and then they jump off. So I don't know if that's because I had it in landscape mode. So now that I have it in portrait, a lot more people jumping on and staying on. So if you're watching it in portrait mode or landscape mode, watching it on your phone or TV, that also helps. Because I'm trying to adjust the settings on the YouTube Live app updated about a week or so ago. And I'm trying to critique some of the settings to get it the best for the viewers. And that helps knowing if you're watching it in portrait or landscape mode. And if you're watching it on a phone or like a TV. Or I guess, computer screen. And feel free to ask any questions in chat. Gives me something to talk about. Otherwise, I just kind of ramble about different stuff. Sun's starting to come up. You'll be able to see a lot more once it starts coming up, and we should be able to see the sunset, or sorry, the sunrise this morning, according to the time. So I'm a little earlier because I got to stop by the store and run in for a couple minutes and grab a couple things for work, and then I'll be right back. I'm just going to let the stream keep going. You can chat amongst yourselves if you want. And then I'll be right back on the road. Yeah, it looks blurry because it's really foggy out this morning. It's not necessarily my camera. It's the fog. So everything, I mean, I guess in theory it is my camera on my phone because it can't focus on things because it's so foggy out. But that's why all the lights look blurry like that, because it's really foggy. Yes, for that, for asking, yes, look. Yes, I'm a real person. Hello. I'm going to turn it back. Because I'm assuming people don't want to see my face, see? um, what was that? That was me turning my camera real quick. Or changing my camera from front to back, or from back to front. Not every day, but some days people ask to see my face, or basically prove that it's not a recording. So um, on that note, I believe it's October 8th. I believe 7th or 8th. I think it's the 8th. So we are stopping by store real quick. I got to run in and get some stuff for work. So I'm gonna let the stream keep going. I shouldn't be too long. It should only be a couple minutes. I'm gonna run in real quick, grab a couple things I need for work, and then I'll be right back. So if you want to, yeah, you can chat between each other if you want. I'm gonna pull through here. So I will be right back. So if anybody that's in here now, if somebody else jumps on and wonders why we're looking at the side of a store, tell them that the driver, me, is running in real quick, and we'll be right back. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna leave the stream going. Be right back. Alright, I'm back, people. Hold on. Thanks for sticking around, those who did. Okay, I'm back. So I had to run into the store real quick and grab a couple things for work. Okay. So I think the conclusion is that the majority of people want it portrait mode, not landscape mode. So I asked people yesterday, and some people said landscape mode. But when I started in landscape mode, a lot of people were jumping on saying they couldn't see stuff right, and then jumping back off. So I guess I'm going to keep it in portrait mode. And I'm just going to have to figure out somehow my windshield mount, the way that it goes, I have to tilt my phone like this to get around the windshield mount. Otherwise, you're just looking at the windshield mount. So, I don't know. I'm going to have to try to figure out a way to get around that. I'm not for sure how, because just the way that it's designed. I don't know if it'll pitch sideways or not if I take it off and try to put it back on. But otherwise, it's kind of goofy sideways like that, which I have to do that. Otherwise, I have to do landscape mode. If you want to put in the comment or the chat area, landscape or portrait, I'm always happy to change it next round. It doesn't let me change it in the middle of stream though, for whatever reason. Whenever I try that, everything just grays out. So those that were listening earlier, so that sign in front of us says Route 30. That's the Highway 30, Route 30 gravelways. That's the different names. The same road has like 2 or 3 different names depending on where you're on it and how long you've lived out here. Because some people, the whole stretch, they just call it 30. Or some people call it gravelways. And we do have a couple experimental intersections, like this is one of them. So instead of me turning directly into traffic to the left, there's actually a merge lane on the left side of the highway. And then further up, there's a couple other experimental intersections where they just have the like light setup different and like side routes that allow people to go south or north while people are still going east and west without having an overpass. So it works out pretty good. I don't know, it's really overcast and foggy this morning, so I don't know if you're going to be able to really tell whenever we go through that. Most intersections are your standard stoplights around here. We don't, gravelways, Route 30, whatever you want to call it, doesn't really have any overpasses necessarily unless it's going over an interstate or another highway. There's just all kinds of stoplights. And if you care, the QT there shows gas is at $2.69. In the chatter comment section, let me know how much a gallon gas costs in your area. And yeah, no, I'm gonna try to do this in the mornings going forward. I also do this in the afternoons. You get to see a lot more because it's lighter out. And I usually do a side road, couple different side roads depending on traffic. So you get to see different stuff in the afternoon, early evening. And that's usually between 4 and 5:30 Central Standard Time. So, you know, follow subscribe, whatever you want to call it, if you want to get a notification whenever that happens. I appreciate it. It does help. And even those that might be watching this later on, because it's October 8th right now. So anybody watching it later on, you know, you can still subscribe or follow, and then you'll get new notifications whenever I go live next time. And once again, the blurry lights everywhere, that's good. It's really foggy this morning. So the other morning, apparently right about here on the other lane, so we're doing eastbound, on the westbound lane, a pedestrian unfortunately got hit. They were trying to cross the road. It was an older gentleman, didn't time things right, and somebody unfortunately hit him, and he was dead on sight. And I mean, there's intersections and better places to cross, so I don't know why he was crossing right there, and we'll probably, you know, we'll never really know, probably. And we're starting to get higher up, so some of the fog's going to start disappearing. You'll be able to start seeing stuff better, and the sun's starting to really come up. That helps. So the experimental intersections that I was talking about are actually starting to come up here in a little bit. Not the next one, but the next two. So once again, I'm headed eastbound right now. If I wanted to go southbound, I would actually start turning right here, and then it goes across the westbound, and then you end up, there's another intersect farther down, and then you turn in. So you're not actually going across the westbound traffic at the main intersection. And the same thing right here. So this light that we're going under right now is actually people that were going westbound that want to go south. So whenever we're stopped at the other one back there, they're going across, but then they're sitting in traffic on the other side of the highway instead of going across whenever we're trying. Either way, I might not be explaining it correctly, but essentially it does help the flow of traffic. It really does. There's some grant program or something that paid for it years ago, like 12, 14 years ago. So now you start seeing there's actually overpasses that we're starting to go over now. That's because we're going over highways. But any small road, they don't do overpasses for. On Highway 30, gravelways, whatever you want to call it. They just stick a stoplight there. And there's so many stoplights. And now we're going over the Merrimack River right here, which is actually really down. It's been down all year. I know it's kind of drought-like, but I mean, it's down, I want to say like 10, 12 feet, something like that. So we're coming up once again. We're on Gravois headed west. We're coming up. We're going to be going northbound on 270. And this intersection used to have flashing lights from, oh, it was something like 8 or 9 p.m. to, I don't know, 5:30, 6 a.m. or something weird like that. And the flashing lights was essentially, if you're headed eastbound or westbound, you got to go, but everybody else had to, like, it was like a stop sign. So many people got hit, so many people, so many accidents. And finally they just determined, let's just let the lights run all night long. And the idea was that most people headed eastbound or westbound was sitting at these lights in the middle of the night, and nobody was at any other parts of the intersection. So why have the lights run? Well, because that's what has to happen. Otherwise, there are a bunch of accidents in the middle of the night. So I don't know if they do that other places or not. There's actually 2 different intersections that they did that along Gravois, and both of them they ended up turning on 24/7 after a while. So I don't know who made that call. Good call. It's annoying whenever you're headed through there at night. I understand that, but it does save lives. There was actually, whenever I was in high school, there was one of our friends died because of that. He essentially had what he thought was the right of way and was turning, and somebody else ended up running through and hitting him or something like that, and he didn't make it. And I always try to give an interesting driving tip or something along that line. Sometimes I think that everybody knows this, and then I say different stuff, and they're like, didn't know that. So if you're ever doing like a rental vehicle or something, you're driving a different vehicle than what you typically are, or if you always forget what side of the vehicle your tank is on whenever you get in the gas station, if you look on your gas gauge, most vehicles, not everybody, but most vehicles, if you look on your gas gauge, there's an arrow to the right or to the left of the gas symbol. That is what side of the vehicle your gas tank is on, or your gas cap is on. So then you know if you need to drive up to the gas thing to the left or to the right. For instance, mine's on the right. So my arrow is on the right side of the little gas icon. So, especially like if you're borrowing someone's car, if you got a rental or something, you're like, I don't know what side. Down before gas gauge, and the little gas pump right or to the left on most models. So my phone hasn't said anything about taking a different route, so we're going to be taking a pretty standard route. Another, I don't know if there's one, there should be one coming up here in a little bit. So if you're driving and you see the overpass signs and you see the exit on the top of it, and for the most part, most exits are going to be on the right side of interstates. But if you're on an interstate that splits and goes different ways, you see how both of those exit things on the very top say exit 5B and 5A, they're on the right side of each of those little signs. That means the exit is on the right side of the interstate. If it's in the center, that means that the highway or the interstate is going to split and you're going to stay straight. If it's on the left side, that means you're going to end up, you need to get on the left side of the highway or interstate, like right away. Otherwise, you might not have enough time to get over. So that's something else I like to remind people or let people know, because there's a lot of people out there that don't know that. So until somebody teaches you, you just don't know. And there's been construction. I don't know that I've drove into work in the last 15, 18 years and I haven't had had to go through some kind of construction cones or something, which is fine because things are always getting better. I get it. Or they're replacing something because somebody ran into a railing or whatever. No, my phone's not slipping sideways. It's cocked sideways like that to get around the windshield mount. And we might be a little early to be able to drive directly into the sunrise this morning. Because it's just now 7 a.m. So we might be a little early. But you should be able to see colors and stuff here in a little bit. Because we're headed northbound right now. We're going to be headed eastbound on 6440 here in a while. And that's where we typically see the sun rise for the most part. But I don't know if you'll actually get to see the sun depending on traffic. Yeah, I just saw another group of people jump on. Good morning. Feel free to drop in the chat. Are you watching this in portrait or landscape mode? Because I did portrait yesterday, and some people asked for landscape. I started this in landscape, and people kept saying it was like dropping off or something. So I stopped stream, and then I got back on in portrait, and people seem to be staying on. So not for sure why that is, but if more people want landscape mode, I can try to figure out why that was dropping off earlier. And those that want to, I'm gonna be doing this in the mornings and in the afternoons or early evenings. So if you want to follow, subscribe, you should get a notification whenever I go live. Appreciate you. In the afternoon, it will be usually is a slightly different route depending on traffic. So I do more side roads and stuff. It's not always the same route. So what we're dealing with right now is a typical morning bottleneck that happens right before Manchester. For whatever reason, this area, doesn't matter how much traffic's going or whatever. I mean, obviously there could be an accident and that kind of stuff, but this is a typical morning. But as soon as we get past this bridge coming up, things always seem to open up. So I'm not for sure why this always bottlenecks. I mean, I guess it's a volume thing, I guess. Just that many people. We essentially are losing a lane, but then we turn around and get the lane back again. There's a pothole coming up that I try to avoid it, but it's every morning for the last, I don't know, 8, 9, maybe even 10 years, the same pothole's been in the same place. They've patched so many other ones, but this one just keeps being there and keeps being slightly larger every year, or deeper, I guess. So that's why I'm not driving. I'm kind of driving offset a little bit. That's why, because it's going to be coming up here in the left part of my lane. And some mornings I forget to get over a little bit, and then I hit it, and it's like, man, I'm gonna make my tire pop one of these days, or mess up something else. But it should be coming up here right around the time that we're going under this sign. So there it is right there. We just passed it. So, and I mean, it's only about a foot wider, so, but it gets deeper every year, it seems like. You see, like I said, as soon as we get under the bridge up, and traffic seems to go faster because we get our lane back. But it'll bottleneck again further up here because there's construction in the right lane. Not my right lane, past where we're going to be turning off, there's construction. So things bottleneck again. Oh, I guess they're working in the left lane, not the right lane. Finally, so that's progress. I do see some lights flashing above or up ahead, so I don't know if there is an accident or somebody's just pulled over. I usually would get over, but this is my turning lane, so I might just get as far over to the left as I can. I usually try to get over a full lane just to give them more room. I'm assuming that was just a fender bender back there. So this stretch here, we're going to be getting on 6440. And we're going to analyze the traffic that's coming along. So like that orange and white truck, we see that. There's a gap behind it. So that's where we're going to go. Because traffic's coming up behind it quick. Even though we could have kept going on the right, but now the sun's in people's faces. So there's the sunrise for you guys. But the sun's in people's faces, so they can't actually see you. So it's easier to get over whenever we're going under all those overpasses because there's shade there. I can get over and people can see me. we are headed westbound on 6440. And we're going to end up getting on northbound 170. Yeah, feel free to subscribe or follow. I do this in the mornings and in the afternoon. So the afternoon's a slightly different route. And the mornings can be as well, depending on what my phone says to go, depending on traffic and accidents and such. Yeah, this is 6440 eastbound, right into the sun. The hammer is like that to get around the windshield mount. That's why it's a little crooked. Yeah, we're getting on to 170 now. we're on 170 now, headed northbound. And feel free to follow or subscribe. I'm gonna do this. I do this in the mornings and in the afternoons. Yeah, it takes me about an hour, hour and a half, depending on traffic in the mornings. It looks like it's going to take me probably about an hour and 15, 20 minutes this morning altogether. I drive 48.5 to 53.5 miles from home to work or from work to home, depending on which route my phone has me go. So yeah, we're headed eastbound right now, but if you want, go ahead and follow and subscribe. I'm going to be streaming again this afternoon, early evening. Sometime probably like 4:30, maybe 5:30 Central Standard Time. So if you follow, subscribe. So, but I'm going to hop off here. So I appreciate you that did view. Once again, follow, subscribe. And I do this in the afternoons, early evening. So if you follow and subscribe, you'll get a notification. Thank you. Appreciate you.